Welcome to Kaiju Show, where we have a healthy obsession with kaiju. We are also the longest running kaiju podcast of all time, and we have a lot of fun over here. We're the funnest kaiju podcast you're ever going to have. I'm your co-host. Kenta with me is your other co-host.
Jason, how's it going, peeps?
We are here. We're trying to wrap up Kamen Rider because, my God, it's the same thing over and over again for the most part. So we are doing a second to last episode, or should I say podcast, of covering Kamen Rider. We're covering episodes 87 through 92 in this podcast. And then May 17th, we are, I think, is it the evening of May 17th? We're going to wrap up.
Yeah, I think when we talked about it in the previous episode that, or I think it was off record that we plan on doing a later recording of the episode.
Okay. I am hopped up on a lot of coffee. I told Jason I chugged 16 ounces of coffee before coming on here. So I did an epic rant that sadly would have been better saved for when we started here. But hopefully I can somewhat replicate that here in a little bit. We'll find out.
Well, maybe I could put it in the pre-roll or something because it's been recorded. So
it's going to make me look bad in some ways, but it's a criticism that is warranted of one of the episodes here.
Maybe. So before we dive into the meat and potatoes, if you see a subscribe button down below or above, wherever you're watching us from, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as smash the like button. And if you listen to us on audio versions, you can find us over at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, wherever. And you can find both audio and video versions of our podcast right on our own website at gogokaijushow.com.
All right. So unlike what we've done for a while, which is usually a commentary and then sort of some thoughts interspersed, we're just kind of doing what we typically have done with most of the podcasts up to this point, which is we're just going to go over each episode, discuss, provide thoughts, and then a rating. So
I can't remember the last time we've done something like this. It seems like it's been forever.
I think the last time we did something like this would have been, I think it would have been the 7th. No, because I think we did commentaries then too for Godzilla's 70th. I think actually it might have been maybe when we did the, season 3 of the Ultraman anime, perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe. What a shit show that was. I'm talking about the anime, not our podcast. Fuck, we don't do anything wrong here.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So I've got some synopses here. Are you ready for me to dive in?
Go right ahead.
All right, so episode 87, it's titled, it's the caffeine man, Gel Shocker's Delivery Man of Death. Gel Shocker launches an assassin.
Sorry, begin.
Oh my God. Gel Shocker launches an assassination plot targeting Japan's prominent figures. The golden spider lion monster, Kumo Lion, delivers ominous warning letters to chosen victims and then proceeds to murder them one by one. Kamen Rider discovers the scheme and rushes to protect the intended targets. In a tense showdown, he confronts Kumo Lion and ends the monster's deadly delivery spree, saving the remaining victims. All right, Jason. So you want to start us off here?
Yeah. I'll start off with the spider lion. It's a pretty interesting concept for what is, I think, pretty much all of them in the upcoming episodes. I think they're pretty interesting concepts. So I'll just kind of put my foot down on that one, so I wouldn't have to repeat myself. But yeah, as far as this episode goes, you have this one guy who's kind of like a Grim Reaper and just sending out all these letters to random individuals with their name and then the time that they die. And you have Spider Lion kind of coming in right at that exact time and eliminates all these random people and all that. And then you had, and one of the doctors that they come in to eliminate, it's the exact doctor that played in the original Gamer in 1965 film.
Mm-hmm.
You noticed that one. And that was kind of pretty interesting. And then they were about to Gil Shocker were about to kill him, but then Hongo comes in, but then it wasn't quite enough. So for whatever reason, the doctor was killed off screen there. And then after that, you had Tachibana was the next victim. However, the note that they had, it was kind of a decoy, which the main target was Hongo there. And, they trapped him in this cell there along with the delivery man, which he got killed off by, the one of those squishing things with all the needles and all that stuff. But
see, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then Kamen Rider kind of, faked his death there to lure in the spider lion and everything. And then they battle, and that was pretty much it of the whole episode there.
But then he allowed that Grim Reaper type guy, as you say, to just die.
Yeah.
Like, he allowed him to get killed. It's like, wait a minute. I thought heroes were supposed to do everything in their power to try to save people, even if they're evil. And I understand that there have been some exceptions to that over periods of time, because like the 1980s, for example, take a look at Tim Burton's Batman and how murderous he was. But typically, they try to save people. But then it's so funny because the actor playing that character is literally holding the spike.
Yeah. and that thing was much taller compared to the other things throughout that whole cell.
Spike was.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, but, and I understand it's a kid's show, but it's still fucking stupid because, first of all, we don't get any sort of evidence that this occurred. But like Kamen Rider at least takes out the spikes on the floor. But what about the spikes on that hydraulic presser? Like, he doesn't mention anything about those. Like, he would have to not only take the spikes out on the floor, which he did, but he would have to take the same spikes out the top, because those same spikes, I would think, would cover the areas that don't have spikes on the floor. Shit.
Just, kind of like what we say, Toho science. I'm going to coin this one Toei science.
This is not even science. This is just bad writing. And again, I know I'm probably being overly harsh for, a real silly show and one, again, that is aimed at a younger audience. But I don't know. Like, to me, something like that is just real sloppy.
Yeah.
By the way, like you had talked about Kumo Lion. I think I've said this for quite some time since Gel Shocker became a thing in this series, odd number of episodes ago. And I'm just going to say it kind of like you as well. I don't think I've ever seen a Gel Shocker cyborg that was not interesting up to this point. So yeah, I'm just going to say the same thing as you. All of these Gel Shocker cyborgs throughout this batch, again, spectacular, just like they have been since Gel Shocker has come into the series. However, nothing's going to top Jizz Wolf.
Go figure.
I'm just going to say that.
Go figure. But yeah, other than that, there's really not a whole lot. I mean, it's sort of the same thing. Maybe, obviously it's going to be sort of different things going on in every episode, but it just seems like the overall viewpoint, when you step back, it's just sort of the same formulaic type of thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Like up to this point, since episode 21 or whatever during those times. It's just been formulaic all the times. The only difference now is that we get, Shocker organization turn into Gel Shocker, and then all the generals now are just more just of a mutation between 2 or 3 different kinds of species.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to start getting interesting until about episode 90
or 91.
Yeah, I would say 90 though starts to set the stage, and 91 is kind of where it really begins to take off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to say it now, and I haven't finished the series yet, but I was thinking of this as I was watching these shows here the other day and prep for this podcast. And I'm just going to say it. If you're someone wanting to watch Kamen Rider, I would say watch the first 20 episodes and then skip everything until about episode 90 and then watch like 90, 91 through the end.
Or 89, because episode 90 is a continuation of episode 89.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Or start at 91. Well, like,
or that too.
Let me see here. Like, one of them is kind of where they start to do the plot here.
I would say episode 91, where they had the kids brainwashed.
Okay, yeah, I take that back. 90, yes, do 91 through 98. I thought 91 was 90. Yeah, so do the first 20 episodes and then 91 through 98, and you're fine.
Yeah, because everything else in between is not really much worth it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so I haven't seen the final 6 episodes, but I'm telling you right now, that's how you should do it. All right, so what would be your final grade for this episode?
Yeah, for episode 87 here, even though with a lot of the stuff, it just seems with this episode, it felt a little bit better compared to some of the other ones I have. Granted, things, mishaps here and there. That's kind of the usual TV show with the strict budget and everything. I thought episode 87 was pretty decent enough compared to some of the past ones and maybe some upcoming ones. So I'm going to give this one a B-.
Oh, wow. Yeah, again, kind of like you said, it's more or less kind of the same thing from what we have seen before. Seeing the actor who played the professor in a couple of Showa Gamera films was kind of neat, but it's not enough to necessarily save this episode. And it's not a bad episode. It's just more of the same. And with that being said, I'm just going to give it a C. I think it's fine, but it's nothing spectacular either.
Yeah.
Okay. On to episode 88, titled Eerie, the Bloodthirsty Black Cat Paintings. Here's a synopsis. A series of mysterious incidents revolves around sinister black cat paintings that seem to come to life. A worried boy named Satoru asks Takeshi Hongo for help because his older brother has become obsessed with painting a black cat. The truth emerges when the gel shocker monster Neko Yamamori, or Cat Gecko, literally emerges from the paintings to attack. Kamen Rider battles Neko Yamamori, putting a stop to the cursed painting's bloodthirsty power and freeing the brother from the monster's influence. All right, Jason.
Give me 1 second here. Yeah, as far as this episode, it was pretty interesting in a way, kind of using paint and all that. This was kind of interesting, kind of from our. I think you probably know where I'm getting at with this one. With our Facebook Messenger kind of in the behind the scenes where he sent me a thing, like a Bob Ross meme.
I didn't know that's where you were going.
And then I said something as far as using blood and stuff. Well, it sort of turned out this way with this episode.
Tell them the meme. Tell them the meme I sent you.
So the meme of this one is, it has Bob Ross, but then it's like he does paintings of places where of his victims. And all that
So just imagine like Bob Ross. Bob Ross does nature scene paintings, maybe throwing a cabin or something like that. And it says maybe Bob Ross was painting locations of where he hid the bodies.
Yeah. And then I said something as far as like adding blood of his victims or something
mixing the blood of his victims into his paint.
However, in this episode, the guy that does paint uses his own blood to put it into the paint and all that stuff. I was like,
can I just say, and I know Japan will do things in like younger kids programming that you would never see here. I thought that sequence was a little intense because not only is he cutting his own wrist, but you hear a little bit of the cutting, and it kind of drags on for a moment, and he's like kind of like
I also kind of
cutting. I'm like, whoa.
I also kind of like the sound effect that they used for the cutting. It's like
yeah, it's a little blunt.
Yeah.
But then he looks, you can tell he's possessed. He's under some sort of shock. We never fully understand how this happens. It just happens, just like a lot of bullshit in the show. But like he's somehow possessed, and he's kind of hunched over, and they kind of blackened his orbital sockets. And he's
kind of like some kind of Frankenstein monster. But
yeah, it's somewhat similar to the Frankenstein Conquers the World monster.
Yeah, they say that according to the guy's little brother that he's pretty much normal during the day and then just becomes a freak by night and all that. And then apparently all these paintings are just portals for this cat gecko, which, by the way, again, looks pretty awesome design wise and all that. I mean, being a cat person and all that stuff,
Can I just say, though, that its cry is slightly annoying?
A little bit, yeah.
Like what is it? It's kind of along the lines of like, yeah. Kind of like that. It's like Skeletor, except he gets kicked in the nuts. Like that's kind of his meow, but it's like meow. Like that's more or less kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, but nevertheless, it's an okay episode. Again, same formulaic stuff. Go ahead.
However, okay. So I forget exactly what move Kamen Rider does, but he does like a hurricane kick or something like that.
Kind of the lunar kick,
something like that. However, okay. So he usually does like these Hadouken finishing type moves, and typically the cyborg general blows up. Somehow this one doesn't blow up, and he just magically turns back into this little boy's big brother.
Yeah. Well, just after rolling down the hill and then, yeah.
But still, like, he does this to other characters, like Rider Chop or the Rider knee to the face, whatever. And they typically will like land or sometimes roll, and they'll just, exaggerate, kind of like then fall and usually blow up. For some reason, it doesn't blow up this time.
It just
we can't let this little kid's big brother die for whatever reason.
Yeah, it just knocks him back to sense. Or
can I just say too, and I noticed this while watching this batch, for a while earlier in this series, and then somewhere along the line, they just kind of didn't give a fuck. Where typically we saw people being kidnapped and then turned into insert whatever shocker cyborg here.
Although they did that I think, in the past couple or so episodes.
Yeah, and then they kind of abandoned it for the longest time. And then here they're kind of returning to that a little bit. But again, like I just said a second ago, normally when Kamen Rider does its finishing move of sorts, it historically has blown up said, Shocker Cyborg. And because of illogical reasons, they're like, nope, not going to do it this time because we need this kid's brother to survive just because.
Yeah. In budget reasons.
I don't think it's budget. It's just that
we can't afford some of these explosives this time around.
It could be, but I sort of doubt that. It's like we want a happy ending. It's like, dude, we saw this guy cut his wrist. He technically should have died because when you cut your wrist, you got a lot of major veins and arteries there. Typically, and again, this is getting gruesome and stupid. But like, if you cut your wrist, especially if you cut it deep enough, that's it. So yeah,
yeah. Other than that, it's just another formulaic Kamen Rider episode.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm going to give episode 88 a C+.
I'm giving it a C. Yeah, it's fine. Again, it's just like the only reason why I'm giving a lot of these recent episodes a C is just because the hybrids. Like the hybrids are the only things that are kind of holding this thing together enough at this point until a couple episodes from now when things start to pick up because they realize, oh, we're gonna wrap up the series. But because I mean, after a while it got sick and tired of like, oh, it's an IV plant this episode. Oh, it's
I don't know. When you say that, sometimes I kind of wonder why we just didn't stop the commentary part and just sort of went through it like this because it just
like I've told
the same.
Like I've told you before, because it's so painful, it's better with a buddy. It's like, did you see my William Shatner thing I posted a couple days ago? It's like, it's dangerous to go alone. Take one of these. And it's like a red shirt member of Starfleet. Like,
maybe.
My point is, sure. It's dangerous to watch a show alone. Take a buddy. So, like, that's why I got you. We can make fun of it and have fun, so it's not as bad. Like, I can sit here and watch, like we did, how many years ago it was now, when we did Shin Godzilla. Painful movie to watch by yourself. But when you and I were watching it and drinking a bunch of beer, it was more fun.
And maybe some of the other things too that we've done. I don't even think we've done commentary for Zarkor and Craw.
Not yet. No. And I listened to those podcasts the other day and I had forgotten you created a new rating starting with Zarkor and it was GFA. God fucking awful.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I got to remember that one.
I almost forgot about that one.
We did those in June
of last year. Yeah.
Yes. It seemed like 3 months ago we did that. It's been almost a year.
Yeah, it just seems like yesterday. Don't remind me.
All right. We ready for episode 89?
Go right ahead.
All right. Episode 89 is titled The Terrifying. Okay, these next two are just kind of ridiculous. Episode 89, The Terrifying Operation Pet. Please cut this section out. The Terrifying Operation Pet. Send Rider to hell. Here's a synopsis. Gel Shocker initiates Operation Pet. So stupid. A nefarious plan using seemingly harmless animals as weapons. So stupid. The monster Canary Cobra, a Canary Cobra hybrid, infiltrates the young Rider squad's camp by disguising itself as an ordinary pet canary. And I think they blew up an actual canary at one point here, too. Its sweet song hides a deadly power, a sonic cry that incapacitates children, and it strikes with a venomous cobra hand to poison Hongo. Kamen Rider 1, Hongo, and his ally Taki fight back, and even as another creature, the rat Condor joins the fray to assist Canary Cobra. The heroes prevail. Hongo destroys Canary Cobra in battle, but the rat Condor flees, foreshadowing the next stage of Gel Shocker's pet strategy.
Yeah. Again, it's another formulaic Kamen Rider episode, although this time you get two generals, shocker generals this time, or gel shocker generals. As far as the Canary Cobra one, that one's a pretty interesting combo for a general, and then the Rat Condor. And again, I'll talk about the Rat Condor thing for the next episode. It's this episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin on this one.
Can I just say, I think with this episode and another episode that's 2 episodes from now, the Rider HQ is infiltrated real easily. I mean, we have throughout much of the series talked about how easy it has been to infiltrate the Shocker bases.
For one, they have shit security. That's for one thing.
So does Rider HQ. And again, like I've asked before.
That's what I'm talking about. Rider HQ. They have shit security.
Yeah, well, and what happened? What the fuck happened to them being some sort of motorcycle racing establishment? Didn't at one point, I thought of this the other day, didn't they at one point use like an ice cream parlor as like their base or whatever? It either was a base or they went to that place pretty frequently. Because at one point earlier in the series, there was an ice cream parlor they went to, at least.
I'm thinking that too, but then I wonder if you're mixing up with Spectre Man.
I don't think so. I am positive I saw episodes with Tachibana in an ice cream parlor.
Yeah, that was early on, I think, when they were kind of in a cafe place for majority of the time. But then
they magically moved.
Without you even knowing.
What the fuck? I mean, again, I understand this is a stupid kid's show, but I'm just irritated. It's like there's no through line. There's no real through line throughout it.
It just seems like that, it's just they went from kind of this ordinary motorcycle type of racing place to all of a sudden kind of a real discount Science Patrol.
It's like their own stupid Daffy Duck Quackbusters bullshit. I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's like Daffy Duck Quackbusters, what the fuck do you need here? And it's like people need help. Like they become the new Batcave or something, except they suck. I mean, it's just, they don't do anything anymore. How the hell are they making money? Tachibana ain't doing shit anymore. Taki's kind of sort of works for the fucking FBI. Hongo, God knows what the fuck he's doing anymore except being Kamen Rider. He's not racing. What the hell? I mean, I don't understand it. And yes, I'm just becoming more irritated because we're approaching the end of this series. And it's like, I want answers to this. Again, I understand this is a dumb kid show. I get it. But what the hell? Like all you had to do was have some sort of dumb explanation, like Hongo thinks motorcycle racing sucks now. And like, we're going to I could have gone with that. It's like, oh, okay. Like he doesn't like it anymore.
Hey, at least it makes
just going to change shit because.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I just realized that I was like, holy shit. I now remember them being some kind of cafe or something early on. But then, for whatever reason, I think we just sort of had in our heads that they were still there. But then it's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
By the way, I think they actually might have blown up a real canary in this show because first and foremost, okay, so this canary comes by the window of Rider HQ. And Taki grabs it, and Taki's like, hey, like the bird likes me, and birds enjoy me because I'm a pleasant human being and all that. Tachibana is just like, wait a second. And just so happens to have an empty bird cage in the next room. Hey, look at what I found. It's like, no bullshit, dude. The producers put that there. Who in their right mind would just have
an empty
put a bird cage. Like in Writer HQ? You guys have, other than the pigeons, which already have their own pens there at Writer HQ, you guys have never shown to have other birds as pets or whatever.
But it makes total perfect sense, because if you've seen in the previous episode, it seemed like, when Hongo was going out to kind of guard Tachibana and all that, because of the note and all that, when you see the one shot of him going outside, that they were right next to a dumpster. So they probably have a bunch of shit. They probably own like a junk business like Sanford and Son.
Kamen Rider, dumpster diving. Oh my God, this show. But then okay, so Canary Cobra disguises itself as an actual canary, and then it has this song which will give people a splitting headache that are near it. And there's kind of this miniature explosion that happens right before it becomes full-blown Canary Cobra. And I think in the shot, right before it becomes Canary Cobra, I think there were some explosives in that birdcage that might have blown up that canary.
I want to kind of pull up the YouTube video of this and just kind of see for myself here. But why don't you kind of keep continuing on here?
But yeah, Canary Cobra is, I think this is also the episode that I was telling you about, where there are several shots where you see the back of Canary Cobra, and the zipper is fully open on the suit, and you see the actual shirted back of the actor playing Canary Cobra.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Crazy. Yeah. And it's terribly done, at least in terms of closing up this suit. Canary Cobra is pretty interesting just because, he's got a cobra hand. It gets ripped off at one point by Kamen Rider. And then General Black's like, oh, it's better now. All they did was put a mecha cobra head on it. It's so stupid, but at the same time, it's gloriously great because that's just how this works.
Oh, okay. I think let me go back a few seconds here.
I'm almost positive they killed Canary. See?
I think,
I think they may have killed the canary.
Or maybe they did some of the editing too close to where, they had the canary one thing, but then had that cage in the exact same spot without, disturbing the camera and all that, and then put the explosive right there with
I doubt
all that. It looked pretty friggin' close.
I doubt that because I think they were making 2 or 3 episodes of the show in a week. They're cut thin in terms of time and resources, and they're just like, dude, let's just hammer these out as quick as possible. And they're just like, whatever happens.
Yeah, I'll go either way on my explanation. Either they actually did it, or if it's some really clever type of editing and post-production to where that it almost looked like they actually did.
I don't think they had the time nor the resources to pull off that clever of editing. I mean, this is 1971 Kamen Rider we're talking about here. Maybe with Kamen Rider V3, maybe they had more time because that's a 39 episode series. But I don't know.
And probably better writing too without so many
positive.
But anyways, again, another formulaic Kamen Rider episode with some stuff. So,
yeah,
I'm going to give this one a C-.
I think I will too, just because that scene of the canary probably being blown up is disturbing to me. I'm an animal lover. So, yeah, I'm going to dock a little bit because I'm going to assume, sadly, that canary got blown up.
Yeah. So, On to the sequel of this episode.
Okay, this is the one I'm kind of going off on. Okay. Episode 90, the terrifying Operation Pet Rider SOS. With Canary Cobra defeated, Gel Shocker unleashes Rat Condor in full force to complete Operation Pet. Why this is a two-parter and they didn't choose why Cat Gecko was it? It's stupid. A grotesque rat condor monster reappears in a remodeled form to carry out a sweeping attack. This creature terrorizes the public, carrying a deadly contagion as part of Gel Shocker's plot, the plague, and even manages to put Kamen Rider in jeopardy, prompting a desperate SOS call for assistance. Rallying his strength and aided by Kamen Rider 2, Hongo overcomes... Actually, no, that's not correct. It's by Taki. Good God. Thank you, Chad GPT. Hongo overcomes Rat Condor's tricks. In the final confrontation, Kamen Rider executes a decisive rider kick that destroys Rat Condor, ending Operation Pet Menace once and for all, which is so stupid. They're just like, yeah, we're only going to do 2 phases. It's a bird and a rat. Even though a cat could be considered a
and
cat.
This is the one thing I wanted to get around to as far as the Rat Condor. I don't know if there were 2 versions of the Rat Condor, but when you see him in the previous episode at the end and then part of this episode here, he just has a regular normal rat head with, you know, parts of the eagle or something of the sort. And then I don't know if this one got destroyed and then they had another Rat Condor, because the other iteration of the Rat Condor is where he has a beak this time.
There's an explanation. General Black, like midway through the episode, says, here is one of the many problems I have with this episode. Should I go into my tirade?
Please do.
Okay. I'm going to start off by saying fuck this episode, and now I'm going to go into detail. Okay, so about midway through the episode, when Rat Condor gets the beak, General Black explains to the leader that the beak is supposed to spread the contagion into the people Rat Condor bites faster. Exactly. It makes no fucking sense. What? That makes no sense, because regardless of how a virus or a contagion is spread, whether it's through a scratch, a bite, whatever.
I mean, he would just do the stabby stab like he did with the construction worker there. He just stabbed him in the face and that was it.
That's the thing. The method of contamination, whether it's scratch, bite, whatever, is not going to speed up how a contagion flows into a person's body. So Rat Condor's regular rat face versus a beak is not going to change it, because guess what? If you bite someone and you have rabies, the person's blood flow is what's going to determine how quickly that goes through the person's body. It's not the bite of a toothed rat face or a condor beak. Horseshit. That's horseshit. Okay. Another thing. God damn this episode. This is, again, I understand it's a kid's show and all that, but this is one of those. This series has done a halfway decent job of putting its heroes in a situation to where, yes, by and large, they can take care of the problem at hand, but once in a while, they go and ask experts in a particular field to maybe help them battle the villain of the week. Here, the fucking villains do everything here. Somehow, these motorcycle fucks are able to be doctors and pharmacists as well. Because guess what? They realize this Rat Condor is spreading plague throughout Tokyo. And yeah, shit's hitting the fan. It's like, oh, hey, the stakes are finally high for once. Guess what? Instead of going after doctors and doctors within Tokyo and Japan trying to come up with some sort of antibiotic or solution to this thing, Hongo, a motorcycle rider, and Tachibana, the the two least likely people I would ever trust to make an antibiotic of any sorts decide they're going to make it. Instead, it's not an antibiotic. They create a vaccine, which is another fucking problem with this episode. They do not understand what a vaccine is and does. A vaccine is a method of prevention. You take a flu vaccine to either prevent you from getting the flu or to prevent the worst effects when you do get the flu, if at all. Same thing with anything else. You get, an MMR vaccine. That's to prevent you from getting measles, mumps, and was it rubella? I think is the other thing that thing is supposed to stand for.
So
it's prevention. Okay. It's prevention. Vaccines do not cure. In some ways they do, but they cure by preventing you from getting something. Okay. This isn't some sort of like amoxicillin that you take when you actually get sick. Amoxicillin is an antibiotic that if you get sick, the antibiotic you take, amoxicillin, will help you get rid of what it is you have. They do not understand that. They think a vaccine is a cure, an antibiotic. They have vaccine and antibiotic mixed up. Not to mention the guy playing Hongo is a shitty actor because at the end he goes blind and he's exaggerating. He's like, Taji, I can't see, I'm blind. And then Tachibana comes with a large bottle of the so-called vaccine. It's just a white bottle, nothing else. He happens to know where these guys are and is like, look, got the vaccine. And Hongo is like, oh, wonderful. And the next shot, no joke. The next shot is Hongo riding off at the conclusion of the episode with the narrator saying, Hongo took the vaccine. Now he can miraculously see it. I'm like, what the hell? What? You're just going to leave that? Our hero is finally in some sort of real danger and personal crisis. And you're just going to be like, yeah, he took it. He's fine. He's fine. Fuck that shit, dude. Like, first of all, that's not what a vaccine does. It's an antibiotic. And he was blind. And even at one point, he was riding his motorcycle blind and blindfolded. What? What? What the hell is going on here? This episode is fucked up. It's so stupid. This is not what a vaccine is. It's an antibiotic. And you have your character. You could have had a part 2 of this story where you're like, oh no, Hongo's blind. What the hell's going to happen? And you could have had some sort of drama. And it's like, nope, he's fine. He took this shit in this magic bottle. He's fine. You finally have stakes. You finally can get the 6-year-olds watching your stupid show going, oh no, what the hell is going to happen to our hero? Will Kamen Rider come back? And it's like, nope, he's fine. Fine. No, that's not how this works. Mode of how a contaminant is spread, whether through a rat's big buck teeth or a condor beak, does not influence how fast it moves through a person's body. An antibiotic is not the same as a vaccine. What the hell? You could have had more going on with your main character and his story arc here. And you're like, nope, he took it. Fine. He's okay. Fuck this episode, an F. Just fuck it all to hell, man. I can go with stupid shit. I can go with the rat condor. This is horse shit. I am sorry, but you just took the stupid too far. I'm done.
I'm kind of surprised that you only went with an F on this one.
Oh, a GFA. How do you do?
I'm not going to say any more on this because this dude right here has pretty much said it all for me. And what I have written down on my notes, after hearing him from this, I had it on a borderline of a D-, but I'm going to go with the GFA on this one after hearing all
I
of
hope you
this.
all are enjoying this. That took a lot of energy for me to do twice now. I'm here for all of you. I'm here to entertain you.
Like what we said earlier, that all the generals in here are pretty good design-wise, of them combining different kinds of species into one. But that doesn't mean that every single episode is going to be fan-fucking-tastic.
This is, I think, the worst episode so far involving Gel Shocker. And since they started doing hybrids.
And probably one of the worst episodes that I've seen since we started doing, TV show reviews.
I don't know about, it's definitely one of the worst, but I hesitate to say it's the worst.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the worst. I just can't believe how just sloppy the writing is. And again, I understand it's a stupid kid show, but certain elements like that matter because it just does. Like, I can suspend disbelief. Okay, you got a stupid person that's a rat condor. Fine, I'm willing to go with that. I love this shit. That's why I'm a kaiju fan. But it's like, then you just pile on the stupid to a whole other level. And that is where I'm like, no, you cannot do that.
Yeah, so pretty much I would say this is the very bottom of the barrel. Like, they're really like not only scraping the bottom of the barrel, but going through it at this point. So the only way for them to go at this point is up. And I don't have a whole lot of faith in this. But starting with episodes 91 and 92 that we're going to be doing here pretty soon, I hope things are going to get better from here on out.
Oh, I think they are. We're going to cover it. By the way, I want you to do most of the talking for at least this next one. My voice is a little messed up here. Okay. Are we ready to move on to episode 91?
Go right ahead.
All right. It's titled Enroll in the Gel Shocker Terror School. Gel Shocker targets children and allies of the riders through a fake school program. The Centipede Tiger establishes a Gel Shocker terror school to brainwash youth, including members of the Boy Rider Squad. Oh my God, that sounds awful. And even trusted adults like Tachibana and Taki. Using hypnotic powers, Centipede Tiger turns these victims into Gel Shocker loyalists, luring Hongo into a trap. Kamen Rider fights through the brainwash minions and breaks the spell over his friends. In a dramatic climax, Hongo sacrifices himself in order to destroy Centipede Tiger. He tackles the monster off of a waterfall and both vanish into the water below. Though the fiend is defeated and the indoctrinated students revert to normal, Hongo's disappearance leaves his ally shaken as Gel Shocker plots its next move.
So, like I said, the only way to come back from being down is to go back up. Well, I think they're starting to do that now. After realizing how shit of an episode 90 was. So with Centipede, cool name by the way. And also a cool design. Kidnaps random kids, but also kidnaps majority of the common kid core or Rider Kid Core. If I don't have the subtitles here with me, it's one of those. Like what the synopsis says, brainwashes all the kid, not only the kids, but the entire Common Core with Tachibana and the three girls and Taki as well. Although Taki, he was, normal until he got, till he drank that little cup of tea there that Ichiro
normal.
Yeah. Well, true. But he went from weird to weirder after drinking that tea from Ichiro there. And so Kamen Rider was kind of all on his own, battling out the Gel Shocker minions and send Tiger Pete here. And then they were kind of at the waterfall ledge or whatever it is there. And I do like the ending part where they fall down, or it was just dummy suits in there. And, once they hit that shallow river, explosions and all that. And that kind of pretty much ends it with the kids being going back to normal, and then Taki going from weirder to weird. And then they try to find Kamen Rider, and that was kind of pretty much it of that episode, kind of left in a cliffhanger sort of.
You miss the important little thing where they go back to the Gel Shocker base. General Black is come out like cyborg, and they do job of this where
trying to hide him.
They're trying to hide this, for lack of a better term, evil Kamen Rider that they created. But the lighting that they do is so poor. They try to shroud it in mystery. Like, who is this mystery guy? But it's obvious it's a Kamen Rider.
Well, from the outline, but then you can they covered him pretty well from head to possibly waist, but the lighting was, like you said, so poor that you can still see, from the waist down, the color scheme and everything, and what the person was wearing is like, oh, it's an evil Kamen Rider.
Well, and the only difference is that the boots and the handkerchief, instead of being red, are yellow. And they do such a poor job. Like, when I was a kid growing up, they did a better job of concealing, who's the mystery villain this next time? It made you what is going on? They do such an awful job here. Not only that, the next episode, when they at the end of this episode, they actually do the preview for the next one. Not only do they show you who the evil writer is after just seconds earlier, oh no, who is it? They actually show you that it is an evil Kamen Rider. And then they have it in the next title. What is the title of the next episode? Evil, the fake Kamen Rider. They put it in the stupid title. It's like, you guys suck at this. You guys suck.
Well, and then also with the preview for the next episode, that they show Hongo in there.
I know, and it's just like, and again, I sort of, and I can't verify this, but I'm almost certain that they were making anywhere from 2 to 3 episodes a week, and so I'm sure there was next to no quality control on this. And with that being said, it's the costumes, even though they're not absolutely 100% terrific, they're still pretty cool in at least general design standards. But the writing is terrible. It's just, who is this mystery guy? By the way, next episode, evil Kamen Rider. It's fuck, dude. Watch the next episode, please. Evil Kamen Rider.
Will they ever find Kamen Rider? Oh, he's right here.
This show, dude. I know part of it is for your entertainment purposes with me going berserk here, but at the same time, this is so stupid. I still think, even though your budget may be small and the amount of time and pressure you're under to complete X number of episodes within a given week is bearing down on you and very stressful, I still don't think that necessarily excuses stupidity and complete and utter sloppiness. Under intense pressure and circumstances, some things are probably either going to get sloppy and either you're not going to have enough time to fix it, or they're just not going to get caught in time or at all. But there have been things at points in this series where it's just unforgivable, just some of the intense sloppiness. It's like there are just certain, like with last episode, a beak and a mouth, a rat mouth, is not going to change how fast a contagion moves through a person. And a vaccine, the difference between a vaccine and an antibiotic is pretty huge. And just, who's the mystery guy? By the way, it's Kamen Rider because the lighting is poor. By the way, next episode, evil Kamen Rider. Watch next episode, evil Kamen Rider. However, I suck at your job.
I will give them this one thing here, starting with episode 91 and 92, is that it seems like these episodes are starting to finally not become formulaic and finally starting to get into the end game and trying to be more continual instead of being an episodic. Like one episode is completely different from the other, whereas the last two episodes here, 91 and 92, are a continuation with one another.
Yeah, like you can start seeing a little bit of the groundwork being set for the conclusion of the series. And we're definitely going to get more into that with episode 92, but Tiger Centipede, I mean, terrific. I still, again, like I was talking about earlier with one of the other episodes, Rider HQ is infiltrated again. I mean, it's fine, but I'm going to give this episode a C- because, again, Rider HQ for like the second time in 2 or 3 episodes is infiltrated. And then on top of that, they just did such a terrible job of even trying to conceal the evil Kamen Rider at the end. And then the preview ruins it all as well. Like I can't let that go. I just can't.
Well, I'm going to give it a little bit of a better grade on this one, since this episode is kind of the beginning of the end portion, like the beginning to the end game of this Kamen Rider series. So I'm going to give episode 91 a C+.
You're very forgiving there.
Like I said.
All right. The last episode we're covering here on this podcast here. Episode 92, Evil, the Fake Kamen Rider.
Although he does have a different name, though.
Kind of. In the wake of Hongo's disappearance, Jill Shocker seizes the opportunity to sow chaos from within. General Black deploys a fake Kamen Rider, or Shocker Rider, a doppelganger who impersonates Hongo, as part of a plan to ruin the Rider's reputation and destroy the remaining resistance. Disguised as the original Rider, sort of, but he's got like a yellow handkerchief and all that. The imposter gains the trust of Tachibana and Taki, only to betray them, attempting to steal confidential data on Gel Shocker's great leader. I will want to talk about that. Okay. It is soon discovered that when the false Hongo refuses to hand over data and attacks his friends, and it is revealing his true allegiance. The real Hongo, not dead after all, Shocker, makes a timely return to confront his evil twin. However, Gel Shocker's backup plan is also in play. The acid-spewing monster, was it Bee Fly?
It was Fly Tribby.
Yeah. Joins the fake Kamen Rider. Together, this villainous duo overwhelms the weakened Kamen Rider, leaving him clinging to the edge of a seaside cliff. And the episode ends on a cliffhanger with the fate of the true Kamen Rider uncertain, as Gel Shocker's scheme hangs in the balance. But then again, the preview ruins all that by showing that Hongo is going to survive this after all.
Yeah, so now you can see that things are getting to be a bit more interesting story-wise, with it being continuation from episode 91, and it seems like with episode 93 after this one is another continuation, because now we're going to finally see the other Kamen Rider in that from that preview that we haven't seen in God how many episodes ago.
I want to say it's got because he did make at least one or two. It's got to be like 20 episodes ago, maybe.
Yeah, but besides that, there seems to be another type of group called the Anti-Shocker.
I got a problem with them. Anti-Shocker Alliance. Yep.
Where it seems like that they got in contact with someone who's finally found the identity of who's running Shocker, Gel Shocker for that matter. I kind of had an interesting little theory, twist theory on that, but I know you had something to talk about.
No, share yours.
The one thing that I kind of had in my mind while I was watching this episode is that it would be, I think we probably mentioned about this, but we totally forgot about it. But it would be interesting that the leader and kind of a twist was Tachibana all along.
I would love that. Look, all the crap I've given this series in some of these episodes, I will give this series an A+ if it ends up being Tachibana. I don't know for certain. I've never seen this. I haven't either. Fast forward to the ending. I have no idea at this point, but that would be. I know it's not, but that would be great.
Yes. But and then. Yeah, this is the point where the Rider Corps gets infiltrated again. And you would think with all the details and stuff out in the open, you would think someone would have known, but no. For writing purposes and stuff that they would have to not even notice for one bit, especially when hit with like Hongo, he wouldn't come into Rider Corps without being Kamen Rider. At all from what we've seen. It's like for me, if I was one of them, that would have been red flag number one. Obvious red flag number one. And red flag number two is like, how come your boots, gloves, and scarf are a different color? And then now you can go into your rant because I know that you want to get it off your chest.
So let me preface this by saying that as I was going through this batch of episodes, and again, this show, and we've mentioned it millions of times, this show is not the best written thing in the world. And again, part of that is because it's a kid's show, even though at the same time that still doesn't necessarily forgive it for being sloppy and just stupid at points. And I understand too that I'm positive there were multiple episodes being produced each and every week for however long this show was syndicated. And I think during its original run.
I'd say that there's probably evidence of that because you see from one episode they'll have different kind of clothing on, then some other episode later they'll have the same exact clothing or what have you, and so on and so forth and in between. So I would say there's probably evidence towards them doing multiple episodes per week.
And I knew this particular batch as I was going through, like, obviously episode 90 was stupid as all hell. But as we're talking through the rest of these, especially starting around 89, definitely by 90 and kind of through here, it's almost as if some of the sloppiness has gotten so bad that it's, I think, starting to hurt the show a little bit as we're coming towards the end, which I think is crucial because you're at a point now where you have to land this plane perfectly. Otherwise, everyone dies on board, and you don't want that to happen. So first of all, this whole plot point, and again, I understand it's a kid's show. I understand they're trying to wrap up. I understand that they're in production, multiple episodes a week. But in the beginning part of this episode, the leader all of a sudden just says, "Oh, they found out my true identity. Fix this." It just comes up. There was no sort of build up, which leads me to point number 2. The Anti-Shocker Alliance. Oh, fuck. This is the first time we're hearing about it. And Tachibana and the gang at Rider HQ, they haven't heard of anything about it either until now. And Anti-Shocker Alliance somehow has known of the Rider HQ, Kamen Rider, obviously, and the gang. But they're like, you know what? We're not going to align with you, even though we're on the same team trying to accomplish the same goal. What the fuck? I mean, seriously. And it's so poorly written. It's just like, we're just going to bring in the Anti-Shocker Alliance. Okay, why wasn't this done earlier in the series? And why didn't they align with, the Rider Squad? Like, they have the same goals in mind. Why not team up? Team up. Combine your resources. You will have a better shot at infiltrating bases, figuring out who is who, and defeating them probably much sooner than 98 episodes. This series could have been done in 40 if they had come together sooner.
But then before you go on here, I would say again, it's it all has to do with the writing. I bet you anything that this Anti-Shocker Alliance was a last minute.
Oh, it is. Absolutely, it is. It is absolutely, because otherwise we would have heard about them earlier in the series. And I'm trying to be understanding, and I sort of on a small level will forgive it for some of this sloppiness. I'm just going to preview my grade for this. I'm going to give it a C. I mean, this isn't as terrible as that Rat Condor episode, but it's like, it's just sloppy. And it's disappointing because this is where the rubber's meeting the road now. All of a sudden now, because the Shocker leader is just like, oh no, my identity, shit. Because he left his credit card at the local cafe. He was being
or driver's license.
Yeah, that's how they found out who he is. Like now we're starting to figure things out, and I'm just gonna say this. I did preview the titles, or at least the final title of the series, and it's something to the extent of like the Gel Shocker leader annihilated or something like that. So we are going to eventually find out who he is, and I guess we are going to have some sort of showdown between Kamen Rider and the leader.
And I just noticed here, I just went over to Wikipedia that 2 episodes from now, episode 94, called The Truth Behind Gel Shocker Leader. So probably no more then. Yeah.
And I don't like the sloppiness. And I want to preface this, and I've said it several times before on previous episodes of this podcast. Some of you may be looking at me and like, geez, Ken, you must really hate the show. It's like, no, it's the caffeine. But at the same time, yes, episode 90 was shit. But this series is not, I would say out of all the tokusatsu shows I have completed thus far, and I'm just going to say I've completed Kamen Rider because we only have 6 episodes left. This is not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it is near the bottom. But that's because I've only seen anywhere between 6 and 8 shows in their entirety at this point. And I don't hate this show. Is it sloppy and bad at times? Absolutely. I mean, when you have 98 episodes and they're being produced as quickly as they are, you're going to have shit episodes in there. But this isn't the worst thing I have ever seen, like as a series. Part of it is for your guys' amusement to see me go crazy, and maybe for you to laugh and be like, look at that guy. He's losing his ever-loving mind over this. But yeah, it's sloppy. It's just gotten real sloppy recently here. And I have a hard time forgiving some of that, just because they've done a halfway decent job of not being too terrible at it for a while. Now they're just like, we were only geared for 98 episodes. We're at episode 91. We got to, oh shit. So yeah. I find it funny though, that there have been a few moments throughout the course of this episode where the Gel Shocker leader's information is like on this, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like a
kind of like a bomb.
tube.
Kind of looked like a bomb to me.
Almost. Yeah. Like it's like encased in like a glass or a hard plastic, and there's like wires or something. Like it's supposed to be hooked up to a computer or something.
Maybe like a prototype USB stick.
Yeah, except it's like this big.
1970s version.
Yeah. And there were several instances where Shocker Rider could have easily taken care of it, but because of contrivances, they're like, no, he's going to be fine. Like there's one point where he's trying to throw it into the ocean, but surprise, the real Kamen Rider shows up and like grabs it out of the air. But he could have kind of like stepped on it if he wanted to.
He also kind of does like the splits in the air trying to grab it.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's silly. But this is kind of exciting now because, yeah, rubber's meeting the road. We're starting to kind of rev things up for a little bit here. Hopefully we have a pretty good conclusion to this series. I'm just going to say kind of final rating for this. I'm giving it a C. Like I said earlier, it is kind of sloppy, not as bad as a couple of the more recent episodes we discussed here, but I'm starting to get a little excited now, not only because the series coming to an end, but it's like I'm really hoping that maybe we could have some interesting twist, Tachibana, as far as like Gel Shocker leader, who he is, and maybe an interesting conclusional fight to this. We'll find out in a couple weeks, but yeah, I'm giving it a C. It's fine, albeit kind of sloppy.
Yeah. I'm going to give episode 92 a C as well. Pretty good. Not quite as good as episode 91. Although you get two generals this time, along with Shocker Rider for that point. Of course, writing terrible. With this, but yeah, I'm trying to keep my hopes up. With 6 more episodes to go, thank God.
Well, if not, the one thing that is guaranteed to keep your spirits up is that we're just about done. Like it's like you're ready to like rip the Band-Aid off as quick as possible.
Completely ripping off the entire Kamen Rider Band-Aid off. Yeah, thank God. Yeah, so a C grade for episode 92. So can't wait for the final 6 episodes after a year and a half of doing this. It's finally coming to an end in 2 weeks. It's been a while for sure. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I'm curious. One of the things I would like for us to remember to potentially discuss is, would you pick this or Spectre Man? Like if you were given what, like, you know, someone came to you and is like, you can only have one and you had to take one, and I'm not saying you have to answer it now, but it's just something to think about for next time. And I want you to wait until you've actually seen the final 6 episodes here. You know, I kind of already made up my mind, but
I think I know where you're leaning, but I don't want you to say anything. But again, I want everyone to understand I don't hate this show. Is it frustrating at times? Absolutely. Is it way too long? Absolutely. And I will repeat this stuff next podcast when I do final thoughts and overview of the series as a whole. This is not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it has moments of just sheer and utter stupidity and awfulness in it. You know, and again, I've only gone through, like I said, it's like 6 or 8 complete tokusatsu series. It's near the bottom for me, but the shows I have seen in their entirety of tokusatsu are some of the better ones, like the original Ultra Q, original Ultraman, Neo Ultra Q. I think Neo Ultra Q is better than this. what are some of the others? I just had it here. Yes.
And it is like, for me, was it Ultraman Z, Orb, some of the newer ones? I was much better because, I mean, better writing, obviously, and it doesn't drag out with 98 friggin' episodes. Where with the newer ones, they only just go up to 24. Thank God. Hopefully we can get around to those sooner rather than later, because I know we sort of talked about it as far as what to do next. Although we're going to do Shin Kamen Rider after original Kamen Rider.
And I'm just going to preface this by saying that I listened to a podcast here about a month ago where these two co-hosts really enjoyed like Shin Godzilla and Shin Ultraman, but they hated Shin Kamen Rider. So I'm a little concerned about that.
But the one thing I probably would ask him is that, sort of like us, are they sort of getting their feet wet for the first time in the whole Kamen Rider
that I don't
universe? Know. That's kind of the one thing I trying to think their reason behind them not really liking Shin Kamen Rider. Probably just haven't really been familiarized with the whole franchise, kind of like us in a way. Although we have watched a little bit of some of the random things from G-Fest over the years with some of the newer Kamen Riders, and, you know, with Super Sentai
right
combo TV shows or movies, what have you. But yeah, it's kind of like us. This is our first time getting our feet wet into the whole Kamen Rider universe.
The thing that concerns me, and I know this is a fact of Shin Rider, is that it's very violent.
Yeah, kind of like that. We've talked about that. Yeah.
Like typically, like, and it sort of depends on how the violence is depicted. But it's like when we did the Ultraman anime series, one of the things that turned me off of that series was that the Ultraman, the animated Ultraman series was uber violent. And look, I understand that there have been moments throughout even some of the older Ultraman series where things were pretty grotesque in many ways. Like, I know there was this episode in Ultraman Ace when my son was going through it, and I happened to just kind of look in at one point during one of the episodes where he's fighting this one kaiju and he like rips the skin off of it. Like, it sent the heebie-jeebies. Like, things like that, like, make me cringe.
For me, it's not much of the violence when it comes to that animated Ultraman show. I think it was more or less the limited amount of scenes that they had or locations that they had. And I would say sort of the medium that they went with that animated Ultraman, where they did kind of like the combo or the hybrid CGI with kind of that anime look type of skin going over the CGI models and all that. Because I know that was sort of the early days that they were doing it. Now things are much better with them doing some of the 3D anime models and all that now compared to when this was made. I think that, for me, in my opinion, I think that's kind of what sort of turned me away.
Well, and just the writing was real bad, I thought, too. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't want to relitigate it because we already did an episode of that like last fall.
I would say that the music for that series was pretty good. And then the manga version, I'd say, was better compared to this one.
Yeah. But the point I was trying to make with the Ultraman, even though there have been moments where even some of the older Ultramen had their moments of violence, I don't like real intense violence. So like when I think of an Ultraman, I think of definitely something that's more or less safe for a younger audience that doesn't get too violent. Yeah, there's like combat and stuff, but nothing that's like where you got blood splattering all over the place and that sort of thing. But it looks like, well, and I know this for a fact, there definitely are moments like that in Shin Rider. And to me, Kamen Rider, at least with this original series, yeah, like has had a few little maybe questionable moments, but it's not that terrible in terms of
like I know. I think
violence.
I think it was a episode 2 or 3 where we saw kind of blood or something.
Well, yeah, and then like a couple episodes ago with the cat gecko, we had that guy slitting his wrist. Like, yeah, like, but that doesn't happen that often in this series. It's just kind of like an Ultraman where, yeah, occasionally you'll get like a head decapitation or skin ripping off of a kaiju, but that's not a consistent thing. It's not like a Rambo where he's always like shooting people up and blood splattering and people's heads are getting cut off and disemboweled and stuff like that. Like that's part of like that series. You expect that. But with something like an Ultraman or a Kamen Rider, especially if you're going back to the originals and you're working your way more to the contemporary stuff, like it turns me off and it puts me off a little bit. Like when you start going uber violent, because like, that's not what I think of when I think of a Kamen Rider and Ultraman. It would be like Barney the dinosaur all of a sudden going Rambo style. It's like, wait a minute, this isn't Barney. Like he's going postal. That's not what Barney does. Like, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So should we end it right here?
Yeah. I hope you guys were entertained. I was definitely over caffeinated today, but hey, I hope it provided some entertainment for everybody.
Indeed. So again, if you see a subscribe button down below or above wherever you're watching us from, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as smash the like button. And you can find us the audio versions of our episodes over at the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and TuneIn, or and then a few other that I can't name at the top of my head right now. But you can also find both video and audio versions of our own episodes at our own website at GoGoKaijuShow.com.
You about did it.
Yeah.
You about did it. And we've been Go Kaiju for about a year or so now already.
A little over a year, actually.
Yeah. He's still wanting to see Daikaiju Network. Yes. Thank you so much for watching or listening. And we will be back in a couple of weeks with the actual conclusion of the original Kamen Rider series.
All right. We'll see you guys in the next episode.